I'm so excited to have you guys all here. My name is Christina Watts. I'm known as the Divine Medium. If you guys don't know me and you're new, what we do on this show is we talk about spiritual stuff, and I'm a type of teacher in heaven, and I came to Earth in 2009 to kind of give the knowledge that I know from heaven. And I got a lot of followers on Facebook right now that are watching live. So if you are on Facebook, you can join Christina K-C-A-Y Watts live on Facebook and throw me some of your questions there. And we'll, after this show off iHeartRadio and iHeart1 and Moonstruck TV, we are going to go and continue live on Facebook for a little bit and finish off these questions. Now, our first question of the night is from Johanna Carrion. She asks, when we daze out, quote unquote, like we are eating and just stop and stare, that someone has to say, hello, Earth to Johanna, why does this happen? Well, sometimes our soul tends to go off, kind of like when you're sleeping, your body is in relax mode and it's sleeping and your soul's off doing all kinds of things. So you don't have to necessarily wait around for the body to wake up. So your soul's off doing stuff. So sometimes this happens when you're in your waking state and you're driving and all of a sudden you get from one point to another and you're like, how the heck did I get here? So it works the same exact way. Okay, next one's from Ray Lukács. I'm hoping I'm saying that name right. Since planets don't really move backwards in their orbits, why is everyone blaming their problems on retrograde? Okay, so I did a whole blog on my website, thedivinemedium.com, on retrograde to kind of give people kind of a heads up, how's this work and what to expect. So if I told you that a train moving faster past a slower moving train, and the slower one appears to be moving backwards, but of course that is not at all true. They are both moving forward, but the slower train just appears like it's moving backwards. Retrograde planet works the same exact way. By essentially a faster moving planet is passing a slower moving planet, creating the illusion that a slower planet is moving backwards or retrograding, quote unquote. For this illusion to appear in this way, it takes a lot of energy to pull it off, okay? This isn't something that just whim, bam, bam, it happens. Energy that throws the alignment of energy in connection, bonding with spirit and physical causes upon realms of all types, our physical or spiritual, everything. So it takes a lot of work to pull this off, okay? If you look at a clock and it suddenly starts going backwards, you would think you're going cuckoo. A planet moving in retrograde motion is just like the clock. In doing so, the retrograde energy is asking you and asking your mind to kind of align and adjust to the temporary flux in the messages communicating with energy, okay? So when you see this kind of illusion happening, your mind kind of has to adjust to what's actually happening, okay? It's like putting the mind into another time zone. So just think of getting off a plane and you have jet lag and you're trying to adjust to a new time zone. It's the same kind of energy effect. Electronics get cattywampus, your emotions get cattywampus, and everything in space affects us. You can't go a day and think, oh, I'm just going to keep living the same energy over and over again. It's not going to happen. You know when you look at those weird puzzles and you have to kind of fixate your eyes on the puzzle and then it creates the picture past your eyes. You have to kind of fixate your eyes. Retrograde is kind of the same way. You kind of have to fixate your eyes to see the full picture, okay? Okay, our next question comes from Melissa Ream. What has been your favorite life so far? Well, that's a doozy. I've had many lives, and I'm probably going to say the Mary Magdalene life was probably one of my top favorites. Being president one time was kind of cool. I didn't like how my ending went, but it was actually kind of cool. I've had many lives with, like the fairyland and the mermaids. Those are kind of relaxing. It's kind of like a vacation away from Earth. So, but honestly, my top one would probably be Mary Magdalene. I really, really enjoyed that life. Okay, Melissa Ream again asks, you are a teacher in heaven. Can we know your name up there? Okay, so I am a teacher in heaven, and my name is obviously Mary, and that is my essence, my soul essence. But I'm also a warrior in heaven. I have many jobs in heaven, just like I have many jobs here. I sing, I'm a medium, I'm an artist. So you have many gifts here, you have many gifts in heaven. Okay, so my warrior essence name, essence, if you will, because we don't really get hung up on names, we get hung up on energy feelings or our soul recognition. So we don't really get hung up on names and category. But if you were to call me a name, it would be Zahora, aka Zara, here on Earth, okay? Using Earth's language. I communicate with water creatures or races that use aquatica, like a nature of aquatica. And I also do with ridding and removing dark from beings that these beings that I deal with seek to plague and corrupt people and places. And I use a Jesus's blood angelic armor that I place over these areas and these people to kind of demolish what's going on around them, to kind of remove the energy, and I'm assisting and protecting the angels with it while I'm here. However, I am restricted by the body to kind of be free in the spirit sense to be able to do what I really can do in heaven. So I'm kind of a little bit restricted, so I do have to count on them for things. So, okay, next question. I don't want to skip anybody here. Mary Maltese Giuseppe, when do you think the Vatican became dark? It must not have started that way, right? Sad to say, Mary, yes. Its main goal was to kind of corrupt and control. I know that there was really good, amazing people that, wanted to start this whole thing to enlighten and kind of be like peace workers, but then you have the other aspect of people that want to control it. When the second you start taking out books of the Bible, you no longer have something pure and with good intent, okay? Jessica Popish, what happens to another person's soul contract when someone who was to be a part of it commits suicide? Okay, so this is a really good question, Jessica. But nothing happens by chance. All these paths that are taken are documented, are planned out, are agreed upon, and consented. The biggest thing here is you want to finish out you want to do everything possible, as hard as it is here, to finish out your life. You do not want to waste the time and not finish it out, because if you finish it out too early, then you're not getting the full effect of learning. There's a difference between reading a book and actually jumping into the story and living it out. You have to live it out. You can't just vicariously read about it. Okay. So I want to kind of use an example for this. I have my notes here. I'm kind of keeping my my ADHD in control today. But so a son wants to be with his mother. His mother dies. He is overstricken with grief, and he just wants to be with her. So he commits suicide. The son does get to see his mother. God is so great and loving in his ways that he understands the hardships of being here on earth. And the son will have to learn how to forgive himself for leaving too soon, because coming to earth is a gift of learning, and you don't want to waste that gift. You don't want to let it be in vain. So you must try everything you can to stay as long as you can. Karma has to be balanced in order for a soul to fully learn from the experience and the perspective of the experience, okay? So karma will get balanced out with that. Okay, question, do dead people ever lie? This is interesting. No, they do not. They have no reason to. They're in heaven, they're all knowing. So communication is all telepathic. So if it's all telepathic, everybody kind of knows what everybody's thinking. So there's no sense in lying, and there's no sense in lying to me because I communicate telepathically. And I not only communicate telepathically, I feel everything that the soul's going through as well. So you can't kind of hide that from me. So there's no gain in them lying to me, to any other spirits in heaven. Everybody kind of just knows what's going on. So who picked our guides out? Our guides. This comes from Melissa Ream. Melissa gives a lot of questions, and I love them. So she asks, who picked our guides? We picked our guides. Our soul came up with the soul contract that we wanted to learn from. It's, again, like a big buffet of learning, and we decide what we want to learn from, who we want to learn from. The people in our lives typically do tend to come and repeat lives with us. It's our soul family that come in. So let's say, for example, your dad was your brother at one time. In this life, he decided to be your dad. So everybody has their role to play. But yes, you pick your guides, and you usually pick your guides based off of how you trust them, or what maybe you want to learn from them, or maybe what they want to learn from you. Because I think a lot of people think that guides aren't learning while they're doing this with you, and they truly are. They're learning themselves. My guide Maria is constantly learning things from me, especially because I'm stubborn. So she definitely learns from me and how to handle me. And Yvonne over there can detest to that. So yes, you pick your own guides out. Melissa Ream, again, is our soul made with spiritual gifts, or do we get enlightened and come into something? Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you on that. I think a lot of people think that they don't have gifts, or they think that they have to be a psychic medium, empath, spiritualist to have these amazing gifts and be popular. And I think a lot of that has to do with the ego. Because when you look internally and you really take hold of what your gifts are, they're very interesting to you. So with Melissa Ream, I would say she is a protector and a listener. And her gifts are special to her. And just because they're not a psychic medium doesn't mean they're not important, because everyone's gifts that they decided to come in with are important, no matter how minuscule somebody else might look at it. There are some, you have to be born with the gifts of communication to spirit. Now, everybody can hear their guides. It's training yourself to listen better. Now, listening to spirit, like how I do it every day, is a little different, and that is something you're born with. You can't just train for it. That's not something you can get trained. Now, one of my energies that I came in with in 2009 was to help those that have gifts feel their gifts, understand their gifts, and better use their gifts. That is one of the energies I bring in. I am here to kind of pull that energy out of them so that they can understand and take hold of their gifts better than what they would have had before. And just being around me and listening to the teachings is going to help them do this. So yes, in a way, if you enlighten in your own gift, but you have to be born with them. You can't sit there and say, oh, I wish I could be a medium. I'm going to tell you right now, you do not wish to be this. This is very difficult. You have a lot of responsibility. I think people that willy-nilly think that they can just do this are going to really have to face themselves when they pass and face their life review, because if this wasn't a gift in the first place and they're pushing it on themselves, they can really mess somebody's life up. So I have a lot of responsibility. And if I don't listen to my guides on what I'm supposed to be saying, I can get myself in trouble. I will be the one in trouble, not the person that's listening to me. So I take great responsibility on what I do, what I say, because it could hurt somebody if I am not careful. I have to listen to what my guides are telling me. And I don't just answer willy-nilly. And I think that's what a lot of people expect me to do, is just whiff off some answers. And I don't do that. I like to sit calmly, listen quietly to my guides. It might take 5 minutes, might take 10 minutes. It might take 2 minutes. Just depends on the person's energy. But I don't like to just flat out give answers, because they're not my answers to give in the first place. I am just a telephone in a way to give the answers. Okay. Melissa Ream, why is dark so heavy on some souls? Okay. Dark, God allowed dark to be here on earth because this is a learning area where there's a yin and yang energy going on. There's two sides of every story. There's two angles to every learning. So you can't enjoy joy and peace and love unless you experience some darker sides. How can you really appreciate love and peace and happy joy unless you've gone through hard times to really appreciate it? Like when somebody gets really, really sick, they really appreciate health after they've gotten sick. And then they get well and they really are grateful and appreciative that they got to see that side so that they can better appreciate being healthy again. Without dark, we cannot appreciate the joys that Earth has to offer us. Okay, so it's very, very important. God allows dark to teach us these good and bad aspects so that we can better appreciate it. Okay. Okay, next question is Cynthia Fleming. What does it mean when you have the same dream over and over again, and each time it goes a little further than before? Well, Cynthia, you kind of actually answered your own question without even knowing it. When you said here about each time it goes a little further, well, that's the whole point. The dream is slowly giving you a message. And each time you go into it, it's just, you're discovering more and you're learning more. And that's the whole point of a dream repeating. And until you get the message, the dream won't repeat. So let me give an example. Christina, the person that was in this vessel before, she had dreams way back in probably 2000 and about wearing a uniform, a police uniform that wasn't of Johnstown where she lives. The uniform was black, and the uniforms here are kind of like a navy color. And she kept having dreams that she sees a rape happen. She chases after the guy, and she calls in everything. So it's not like her not to call in, and she didn't call in. And long story short, she gets shot through her chest, and she doesn't get discovered for 2 weeks. Her body lays there for 2 weeks because it's in like near an abandoned warehouse. So after the accident, those dreams stopped when I came because it stopped that path in its tracks. I did not become the police officer, even though I still had that energy and that drive to become a police officer, because she was still on this path with me when I decided to come in and she decided to leave. It's what's called a walk. I am what's called a walk-in. And I know a lot of people don't understand this, but a walk-in just basically agrees to walk in when the soul that's occupying the vessel no longer wants to live out that life. So instead of committing suicide or anything like that and savoring the vessel, the walk-in comes in and agrees to take on the life. However, the biggest thing with walk-ins is they're drastically different personalities going on. And I mean, there might be some similarities in maybe gestures or facial expressions or maybe the way they talk, but the likes and dislikes and the drive, like she was very depressed, and I have a drive to do things and get out and go places, and she's a homebody. So I do struggle with that on occasion where she's fighting me and doesn't want to go anywhere, and I'm stuck in the house and I really kind of want to go out and do something. So thanks, David. I know it's sad. I got to struggle with that, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. So Cynthia, just to kind of sum up your question, yes, Dreams will repeat themselves, and they are very important when they do repeat themselves, because there is a message there. And the message to Christina was that it was like a heads up that that path won't happen, that she'll be taken across and I would take over. And the dream stopped, obviously, after that. And the uniform, go figure, was the OPD, the Orlando Police Department uniform when she moved to Florida 9 years later. Or wait, I should say 5 years later, but yeah. Okay, Strawberry followed up with why do some not dream or can't recall their dreams? This usually happens when a soul is doing so much work in their dream state that it's too much to contain and remember. Now, there is certain crystals that you can have around you that will help you recall dreams, but it's not going to be in like an overload like most people. And that might be because your soul is kind of tapering into learning. So it's taking its time with its learning. So it's gradually taking bits here and there back with it. Now, you might not think you're recalling things, but your soul is, and that's all that matters, basically, in the end of it. And Angela Black had asked the same thing. So I hope Angela Black and Strawberry gets their answer with that. So, okay, we are 7 minutes in, or 7 minutes left to go. Okay, so Heather chose, why do some crystals crack, not break, but crack on the inside around a person? This has to do with their energy. Your energy corresponds with a crystal. For example, I have an angelite that's very baby blue, and when I have it in a window, it's absorbing, it's changing its energy to protect the house, so it tends to come off like a light gray, and it's no longer baby blue anymore. So it's kind of sad to see that baby blue go away, because it's so beautiful, and then it gets this like dingy look to it, but at least I know it's doing its job. So crystals do, I'm sorry, my nose is so itchy, crystals do change their molecular structure based off who and what is around them. Like sometimes even a selenite, you'll see, will go even like, maybe there's clear parts to a selenite, and all of a sudden you'll see it go just bright white, and there's no clear anymore to it. Okay, it's almost like it filled itself up with more selenite. Okay, Tabitha Ray, what are some reasons people are not ready to hear their guides? A lot of the times it is because they are not ready to change things in their life that their spirit guides want to show them. So they're kind of stubborn, or they're comfortable and they don't want to. I think everybody is listening to their guides. They just don't want to admit to what their guides have them doing. So yeah, they don't want to move their feet, and their guides are telling them, go, 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 do, do, do. So, okay, let's see. Michelle Atkins, are you able to call someone into your dreams live or past? Actually, yes, you can. If you're feeling like you miss somebody, most of the time when you dream about a loved one, it is actually them. They are visiting you. So take this time to talk to them, to get to know them in their spirit form. And when it's somebody living, this usually happens when they're going through something and they're calling to your soul for help. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why would I do that with an ex-boyfriend? Well, just because he's an ex-boyfriend here doesn't mean he's an ex-boyfriend soul-wise. So his soul may be calling to you for some kind of help with some learning that he's still doing here. And you might not remember everything that's said or everything you're experiencing with that soul. That's not the case. The soul knows what's learned, and the soul knows what to listen to. When it comes back to the physical, it's a whole different issue. I think a lot of people think that the soul and vessel are one, but they're really not. It's two separate entities. Like when I talk to ICU patients, I'm talking to the soul, and the body's just laying there in dreamland. Like the body's sleeping, and I'm talking to the soul that's in the dreamland soul state of deciding to stay or go. So it's the same effect, okay? It's just I'm able to talk to them in that state of mind. Whereas your soul, like you might be calling the ex in. You might think you're having dreams of them, and they're doing it to you, but it's actually sometimes you're doing it to them because maybe there's some unfinished business that you need to clear up, and maybe you didn't learn what you were meant to learn. So you're asking them to come and kind of show you something. Okay, next, Lisa Jones Veritek. What does it mean when you felt like a drop of rain fall on your arm and then go to touch it and nothing's wet? Nothing's wet. This followed by Heidi Adahide saying this happens to her a lot, but as a vibration, she thinks it's her phone, but isn't. This is spirit touching you. Sometimes it might feel like something wet dropped on you. It might feel like a bug is crawling on you. It might feel like little needle points, tapping into your skin. I know Maria, when she wants to talk to me or makes me pay attention to something, she'll do like little needle points on my shoulder blade. And sometimes it'll really, really itch. Now, Yvonne gets a lot of itching on her back. So, and that's her guides talking. Or she gets like jabs in her shoulders, and that's just spirit talking to her. But it's based off of your guide and your loved ones around you, how they specifically communicate with you. They could be using tapping, they could be using poking, wet drops, bugs, anything. They will use anything to communicate with you. So just be open-minded and go, okay, that was spirit. Oh, hi, I acknowledge you. Is there something you want to tell me? Can you tell it to my mind and help me pay attention to the message? So with that said, that was our last question of the night. And tonight has been so fun. And I hope you guys continue to watch on Facebook Live on my page, in the Divine Medium page. And continue watching. Guys, join YouTube. We are doing a lot of fun stuff with YouTube now. I'm doing these really cool charmed readings where I'm doing intuitive charm readings, and you can check those out. They're really fun. So join the YouTube channel, The Divine Medium Christina K, and I am looking forward to next week. We are going to talk about the Knights Templar next week. Me and Yvonne are going to sit side by side, and we're going to talk Knights Templar. Very, very cool, and I hope you guys join in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday for that. It's going to be so fun. Thank you guys for joining.